Saturday morning, it's time for the Experts Program, and that means that Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, is helping us kick things off today. Luis, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Mark. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. Looking forward to a nice weekend. We've got car shows both today and tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. There's one from 8 o'clock to 10 this morning. Well, it's already passed. That's at El Torito, the first Saturday of every month. And then Sundays, 8 to 10 a.m., there's something called Cars and Coffee, where the Lucky Store is on South Main and Salinas. And I like to go out to that and check it out. Sometimes I take my car out there. A lot of times I just go out to see what cars are there. Usually draws about 50 or 60 classic cars and some fun, cheap, and entertainment. And you know what's interesting is that these types of ad hoc events have all popped up during the pandemic. A lot of the regular car shows were canceled, right? The big events got canceled for the year or so. And the car owners decided that they still wanted to get out there and meet with friends and kibitz and show off their cars. So they started showing up at these shopping centers, usually from 8 to 10 in the morning. They want to do it before all the stores open, and they create a traffic impact or a parking impact. Most of the shopping centers are okay with it as long as you're out of there by 10:30 or so, and you're not impeding the regular customers. They're okay with having your people show up because it generally benefits, like if there's a restaurant or a coffee shop located
like
there.
Starbucks that's over there. Yeah.
Exactly. It benefits them, so they like it. And then the other interesting thing about it is these are free events, Luis, so there's no entry fee to show off your car. You just drive there, pull in. And what I'm hearing from a lot of these guys is that they're not going to go to very many of these car shows where you pay 40, 50, 60 bucks as an entry and you have to be there all day long. You know, you got to show up at 8 in the morning and you can't leave till 5. Right. For most of these guys, they're okay with these little mini shows that are free.
Yeah, I would imagine it's good for them. It's good for the public. It lets them kind of show off the cars that they've been so lovingly restoring and maintaining, and the rest of us get to appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's all organized over the internet. So another example of how the internet changes things.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's talk about mRNA today, the secret technology behind the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines. Supposedly, it's going to revolutionize how we treat viruses and other diseases forever. What do you know about this?
Yeah, this is fascinating because messenger RNA is something that, we all have in our bodies. It's how our bodies actually deliver instructions to our organs and different elements of our bodies. And Pfizer and Moderna have for years been trying to figure out how to use mRNA, as it's called, to develop things to help improve health. And the COVID-19 pandemic really let them step to the forefront because the thing about mRNA, as opposed to the traditional way of doing vaccines, where like the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, that's done in the old style, the same thing that's been done for over a century, where you take the actual virus and you create a diluted version of it and you inject it into somebody and it helps the body develop antibodies against that particular virus without infecting you to the degree where you get sick. That's the way it's always been done. The problem with that is that the efficacy, that is the effectiveness of that particular antivirus is not great. The Johnson & Johnson is pretty good. It's at around 70, 75%. But we know that, like, for example, the flu vaccine is typically somewhere between 30 and 40% effective every year. And even though the flu is nowhere near as dangerous as COVID-19, it still kills hundreds of thousands of people across the world every year, except last year where we were all wearing masks, so we didn't get the flu. But mRNA does things differently. Rather than creating a weakened version of the virus that you inject into somebody, what you do with mRNA is that you essentially program the natural antibodies that you have in your body to react to the virus. And you can do this very quickly. That's one of the reasons that the vaccines for COVID-19 came out, within a year of, let's say within 9 months of the virus being detected in the wild, which is so unusual. You think of other viruses like HIV or some of the other ones that are out there, that malaria that we haven't conquered yet. mRNA is going to give us the ability to go after those viruses as well. So you're going to be seeing a lot of these antivirals coming out that are built on mRNA because they can be built very quickly. They can be tested very quickly, and they're super effective. I mean, when you think about 90 and 95% efficacy for these antiviruses, that was unheard of until the COVID-19 vaccine. So I think it's going to revolutionize not just how we treat viruses, but there are companies out there that are using mRNA technology to go after things like cancer, go after other diseases that have plagued humanity for years. And they think that mRNA is the answer to solving some of those.
Really fascinating. Now, is this one of the reasons mRNA and this new style of concocting the vaccines, is that why the Moderna and the Pfizer are a two-shot vaccine? And then looking at the J&J, that it's done old style with a diluted version of where the bug is that why that's a single-shot vaccine?
Exactly. So the idea behind the 2 shots of the mRNA is that you want to initially kind of goose the body's mRNA natural system to be able to start responding to the blueprint that you plug into it to say, hey, you need to develop antibodies to fight this thing, and here's how you're going to do it. And then the second shot kind of reinforces the message, if you will. Whereas with the J&J, you can take 5 shots. It's not going to be any more effective than 1 shot. So it's a single shot system. It's probably great for environments where you need to get out the vaccine fairly quickly. But I think as the mRNA technology gets more refined, it might get to the point where you can do it just once. But just the fact that it was so effective, and it was kind of a perfect storm too, because Moderna and Pfizer have been, like Moderna in particular, has been working with mRNA for almost a decade. This is not something that they developed last year. They've been working diligently at trying to refine this process. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they had access to resources that they wouldn't have had access to before. So they were able to accelerate their development to the point where they developed a vaccine pretty quickly alongside the Pfizer vaccine, which used the exact same process.
Wow, this is pretty incredible. You mentioned something in there about maybe they would find a cure for cancer using this mRNA technology. Wouldn't that be something when you consider all the money that is spent on cancer treatments every year, and in many instances, the other hopelessness of it, particularly with particular types of cancers? Boy, what a breakthrough that would be.
Yeah, it would be. And one of the things that's really interesting about mRNA is that it's fairly inexpensive to develop these vaccines. So you can start to look at some of these really rare illnesses that are out there where nobody's going to spend the time and money to develop a vaccine or a treatment for it because there's not enough people, right? And it would be like you have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars and charge millions of dollars for this treatment. But with mRNA, you can develop a treatment pretty quickly and very inexpensively. So some of these autoimmune diseases and some of these things that are out there where there's little hope to develop a vaccine just because there's not enough people that have it, mRNA is going to change that. And some of these companies are going to go after some of those to develop treatments and vaccines to help people that otherwise wouldn't be helped.
Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us today on iHeartRadio on Power Talk 1460 and 101 FM, online, alvareztg.com. At AlvarezTG is the Twitter handle. And Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.